If I showed you this website and I told you that the founders of this company were so desperate to pay off the credit card debt that their business had built up that they sold rebranded boxes of cereal in the street, call me cynical, you probably wouldn't have expected this business to last very long, right? Well, spoiler alert, they managed to turn it round, and with $3.4 billion of revenue in 2020 and an IPO valuation of $47 billion, suffice to say, Airbnb must be selling an awful lot of cereal these days. It's weird, since my daughter was born, the dad jokes just come so naturally to me. Well, Airbnb's digital marketing that has led to that sort of growth is epic, and we've got some fantastic lessons for you today, even if you're in a business that looks nothing like Airbnb's. So buckle up and enjoy. Now, so that we can rinse every millimeter of value from these lessons, I think it's a good idea to back up and consider the market that Airbnb was selling into when they started. We have to remember that this was a new service. It was an unproven concept. This idea of listing your house on the internet so that random strangers could come and live in it with you, or going to stay with random strangers who may or may not be axe murderers, is what we in marketing speak would call a difficult sell. There are lots of potential and very valid objections that people might have, so they had to do a lot to build trust and credibility. The other consideration is that because they are a marketplace, they have the same chicken and egg situation that all marketplaces have. Namely that you need inventory on your website to sell to the end users, but people are unlikely to come and list their home on the site unless there are end users already on the system ready to book. These are tough marketing challenges. Whatever you are marketing for your business, I would hazard a guess it's possibly not as difficult as the challenge that the Airbnb team had to market their business. So let's see exactly how they've done it and the 8 lessons that we can learn. The first lesson that we're going to take from Airbnb is how they present their product, and a very important lesson that they learned in the early days about product photos. Now, when they started Airbnb, they were struggling to attract bookings. The photos that people took of their rooms, of their homes, were terrible because interiors are very difficult to photograph and most people are terrible at taking photos. So the Airbnb founders decided to go and take their own and to hire photographers to go and take photos of their listings. This was an expensive thing to do, but it doubled their weekly revenue. Think about that. If they hadn't made that decision, Airbnb would not be what it is today. Now, the lesson for all of us here is if your thing looks like trash on your website, people are not going to buy it. Now, here we're looking at a listing for essentially a shed in the middle of a city. This could look dreadful, but it actually looks beautiful and it looks aspirational. And a large part of the reason for that is the product photos. And in fact, this entire product page is an absolute masterpiece. Of course, they're selling the experience, so the products take prime position. We have to remember that these product pages are user-generated content. The hosts are writing these pages themselves. Now, if you look at the typical Amazon review, you'll see that the great unwashed masses are generally pretty poor at writing stuff. So Airbnb have had to work really hard to make these product pages good by giving hosts a structure to work from and standardizing the format of these pages. For example, you can see how they've standardized some of the elements of the product listing, meaning that you get consistency across all of the different venues that you can book into. And actually, the entire product listing isn't too reliant on the description. Yes, there is a description all the way up here, but really that's not what this entire page is built on. They've standardized all of the elements, like having the booking, like the location, having a bit of information about the region as well, a bit of information about the host, and then these things to know, which again are standardized, making it very easy for them to get good quality product pages done. There's also a lot of objection handling here and credibility being built too. This product page is significantly better than most e-commerce stores' product pages, and again, it's user-generated content. But of course, the big lesson here, whether you're selling a product, a service, a software, or a hut in the middle of Bath, is that if your thing looks like rubbish on your website, people will not buy it. The next lesson that we're going to learn from Airbnb's digital marketing is gift cards. Gift cards, Tim. Wow, what a novel concept. Hear me out. Gift cards are an underrated way of having your customers and potential customers finance your product. Some facts for you. Did you know gift cards make up 55% of the annual gift buyer's budget? and that at any one point between 10 and 19% of gift balances go unspent. i.e., if you had $1 million of gift cards out there that your customers have bought, between 100,000 and 190,000 of that would be unspent at any one time. Even better, 6% of gift cards never get spent. So by selling gift cards, Airbnb is basically having people finance their business. Between 10 to 19% of it won't be spent this year, and 6% of it will never be spent. That's a much better way to finance a business than by selling rebranded boxes of cereal on the street. Okay, third lesson is the use of publicity stunts to generate links and press mentions. So Airbnb for years has been running this night at promotion. And what they do is they find quirky locations that you can spend the night at. Now, some of these are basically concepts and ideas, and some of them are actually kind of real. But all of them are used to get press and attention. For example, here we can see that they've put a floating house on the River Thames, and they then got loads of press, coverage, and attention all about this. Now, the good news about all of this stuff is that it's picked them up loads and loads of links. And we can see some links from really good quality, high authority sites. They've had links from CNN, they've had links from Harvard, MarketWatch, Business Insider, CNBC, Daily Mail, PBS, The Guardian, USA Today, Fox News, NBA. And all of these sites are linking to pages on this night at section. You might be looking at this thinking, oh, that's a great idea, but it does sound like a lot of work. Well, here's the thing, you don't even necessarily have to do them. For example, here's an article on CNN about how Airbnb had to withdraw its plans to do its sleepover on the Great Wall of China. So they got press coverage when they announced they were going to do it, and then they got more press coverage and links when they decided that they weren't going to do it. Were they ever planning to do it? We will never know. Lesson number 4 is to make sure you're catering for two very distinct customer groups. What are those two customer groups? Well, firstly, they are people that know exactly what they want, and then they are people who have no idea what they want at all. Now, in the world of hotel bookings and travel generally, the group that know exactly what they want are usually very well catered for. When you go on a flights website or a hotel booking site, you're asked for your dates and you're asked for your location. This group who don't really know what they want, they are left to fend for themselves. But Airbnb does a great job of catering for both groups. For example, if you know where you're going, you've got this search bar right at the top of the page. It works really nicely, really straightforward and easy to use. But if you don't know where you're going, you are also catered for. You can click I'm flexible to just browse different places, or you can click to look at different types of inspiration and see curated properties grouped around certain locations. So what about you? You might have two groups of buyers on your website as well, the people that know exactly what they want and the people that don't know what they want. How do you cater for those two, particularly the ones that are more browsy, I'm looking for inspiration types? You'll see e-commerce sites, for example, have lookbooks where they'll show different clothing looks so that people can find items that work with each other. Or you'll have product selection guides so people can go through a questionnaire to find the right thing for them. If you're a service business, you might want to have a free discovery call which you offer people on your site, or some sort of service selection process that they can go through to work out how you can serve them best. So if you're going to maximize the revenue that you're generating through your site, it's really important that you cater to those who know exactly what they want, but also the much larger group of people that are just looking for inspiration and curious. So if you're going to maximize revenue through your site, you need to make sure you're catering for both of these types of customer. Lesson number 5 is to provide a call to action that is relevant to your audience. Not too high commitment, not too low commitment. Now remember, Airbnb is a marketplace, so it needs both end users, but it also needs hosts. It needs the inventory to sell. And we can see that attracting new hosts is a priority. We've got this little button at the top of the page. Clicking on this link takes us to the hosting page. So this is a really, really important page for Airbnb because this is how they get their inventory. But let's look at this page. Hosting makes Airbnb, Airbnb. Okay, as a host, what do I know about hosting? Nothing. But I'm being invited to try hosting. Well, I'm not sure I'm quite ready for that. That might be a little forward. Let's see if there are other calls to action. Well, you can host anything, anywhere. Okay, fine. There's some testimonials, which is great. We've got credibility. We've got different people's stories, which is awesome. We've even got this great calculator, which will show you how much you could theoretically earn. So that's nice. Then we've got this, questions about hosting. Ask a superhost. And this seems to be their next step process that they use for hosts across all of their channels. So we see this advertised in their social media, we see it used on their website. Now, even this is a little high commitment, because if I don't want to talk to someone yet, I just want to do my research, there's actually nowhere for me to do this. The only calls to action on this page are let's go, let's host my site, let's host my place, or let's talk to a superhost. There's no additional info, there's no FAQ, there's no knowledge base. Considering the risk, this feels like a wasted opportunity. I would love to see them de-risking it by showing, hey, if you want to host on Airbnb, here's the Bible of how to do it really well. Once you've read through all of that, talk to a superhost or just get going and list your place on Airbnb. Let's compare this process to Booking.com, which also allows you to post your property onto their site so that people can come and stay. So when we land on the page, we're still given this option to create a new listing, although even that, create a listing is lower commitment than becoming a host. Right? There's a subtle difference there, but it's quite important. You can create a listing without it actually going live. So that's quite an important step in the journey. We've also got objections being handled in this listing box, which is quite nice. But then we've got more information if you're not ready to take that step yet. So we've got objections being handled. We've got credibility being built here. We've got these two different paths that you can take. So you can go and find more information depending on how much experience you have with this type of thing. We've got clear benefits. We've got the personal stories and the credibility from people who've already done this, but we also have some data which makes it feel safer for logical folk too. Then we've got questions. The top objections are listed at the bottom of the page, and then we've got other questions being answered in their FAQ. Then we have an echo of the main call to action at the bottom, which is really smart. If we go to the FAQ page, we see that they have built out this knowledge base of how to list on Booking.com, how it works, and all of the process that goes on. This for me is a really great implementation, and I don't understand why Airbnb is so all or nothing with its hosts. I'd love to see them offering more information and guiding people through that journey a little bit more. So over to you. Are you requiring people to be extremely well qualified before they come and do business with you? Or do you help them along that journey? Do you give them the information and the education so they can start to sell themselves, reassure themselves, and answer some of the objections that they might have to even getting in contact with you in the first place? If you're going to maximize the revenue from your site, you've got to be monetizing those people that are so uncertain they don't even know if they're ready to contact you yet. And the only way you can do that is through education and reassurance. Now, before we go on to see how Airbnb is driving traffic, if you're watching this thinking, I'd like a little bit of digital marketing growth for my business, well, you are in luck because the team here at Exposure Ninja have something very special for you. It's called the free website and digital marketing review. Now, if you've had a free website review before where you've put your website into something and it gives you a load of X's and ticks and it feels really generic and it's totally useless, this is really not that. What happens in the Exposure Ninja free website and digital marketing review is we ask you a few questions about your business, your digital marketing, and your goals. One of our expert team will then analyze your website, your digital marketing, and your competitors. They'll record all their findings in a 15-minute video, which they'll send over to you, which details where you should focus your time, energy, and budget over the next 6 to 12 months to generate significant increases in your online sales. This service is totally free. It's way better than those form things that are total rubbish. So go to exposureninja.com/review to request your free website and digital marketing review today. Okay, so let's look at how Airbnb is driving traffic, and we're going to start with SEO because we're Exposure Ninja. Lesson number 6 then is that your website doesn't rank, your pages rank. Now, if we take a look at Airbnb's rankings on Google, and by the way, I'm using SEMrush here. You can get a free trial at thankyouninjas.com. So we're looking at their US rankings and we're looking on desktop. Now, I've just set up a filter to filter out the branded search terms. So this is Airbnb and all the variations of spelling of Airbnb. So we're looking at the non-branded terms, i.e. people that aren't just looking for Airbnb, right? So down here you can see the keywords that the site's pages are ranking for, and over here you can see the URLs of these pages. And what you notice is that very few of these pages are the home page. Now we do have some, like this one, and this one, but these are basically branded terms. They're just so hideously misspelt that my filters didn't catch them. But the majority of the pages that are ranking for non-branded terms are sub-pages, and they are really well optimized sub-pages. For example, if you search for tree houses, the page ranking position 1 in the US on Google is the Airbnb tree houses page. They have a dedicated page which lists all of the tree houses. Now, if you watch a lot of our videos or you listen to a lot of our podcasts, you'll always hear us banging on about the importance of e-commerce category pages and having dedicated service pages. This is exactly why. It's far easier to rank a dedicated page for a term than it is to try and get your homepage ranking for hundreds or thousands of different keywords. Now, if we have a look at the pages they're ranking, we'll see that Airbnb's homepage is picking up around 46% of the total organic traffic in the US coming to the site each month, an estimated 8 million viewers. This ranking for 95,000 keywords. So you might say, yes, this homepage is working really hard, but if you have a look at the keywords that the homepage is ranking for, it is almost all branded traffic. 95,000 keywords, yes, but actually it turns out that there's like 95,000 variations of the spelling of Airbnb. So whilst 46% of its organic traffic coming through the homepage might seem like a lot, actually it's very, very low for a business like this. With the amount of branded traffic that Airbnb gets, it's a testament to the quality and the optimization of their subpages that homepage is getting such a small percentage of their total organic traffic. And were it not for how well optimized these subpages were, they'd be missing out on 54% of their organic traffic. Lesson number 7. This is a contentious one. They're bidding on their brand name with pay-per-click. Now we can see that Airbnb is spending around about $1 million per month on their pay-per-click in the US each month. But we can see the majority of that spend is going on the phrase Airbnb. In fact, SEMrush is estimating they're spending around $650,000 a month just bidding on people who are already searching Airbnb. And this is a really common question from businesses and marketers where it seems really wasteful to spend money advertising to get someone to click on your site if they've just searched for your brand name. Surely they'll click on our site anyway, right? Well, the answer is it depends. If competitors are bidding on your brand name and the CPA, the cost per acquisition, makes sense, then absolutely it's something that you should do. Well, here's how to work out whether you should be doing this or not. If your competitors are bidding on your brand name, and when you run ads using your brand name, your cost per acquisition is affordable, then we say yes, you should bid on your brand name. And here are 3 reasons why. Firstly, you will pay less per click than your competitors. Remember that because you're bidding on your brand name and your website is entirely optimized for your brand name, your quality score is going to be really high in Google Ads. You're also going to get a really high click-through rate because if you search Google for Airbnb and then you see an ad for Airbnb, that's going to have a ridiculous click-through rate. So again, the quality score is going to be very high, which is going to mean you're spending much less per acquisition than your competitors who are also bidding on your brand name. The second reason to do it is that you will drive up the cost for the competitors that are bidding on your brand name. You'll make it more expensive for them to try and challenge you for that branded traffic. And because you've got the advantage, because it is actually your brand, you're likely to be paying much less than they will, even if your ads are being seen above theirs. Now 3, you might not like having to pay for your branded traffic on Google, but the key is to treat this as an unemotional decision. Have a look at the cost per acquisition, and if it makes sense for your business, then pay it. If you're worried about your branded PPC cannibalizing your organic search, you can always run a split test where one day you run the ads, the next day you turn them off. You'll want to do this a few times through the month to make sure that you've got a fair test, but that should give you the data to find out whether you are in fact paying unnecessarily for traffic that you would have had anyway. Now, before we leave Airbnb's pay-per-click, another interesting thing sprung out at me. We can see here that the URL that they're driving their ad traffic to is not their homepage. So even if you search Airbnb and you see the ad, they're not driving you through the homepage. They're in fact driving you to this /stays page, which is this one here. Now, on the surface of it, it doesn't seem like there's a huge amount of logic for this. It's not like they've taken away the menu options. Some businesses will drive their paid traffic to a dedicated landing page where they've taken away all of the menu options. And the logic behind this is you want to focus that traffic's attention on converting. Airbnb haven't done this. They still do have menu options here. And they've still got Explore, they've still got other ways that you can navigate through the site. Of course, they've got this great search box on the left, but really their homepage looks equally well designed for cold traffic. It's not like they've built their homepage without conversion optimization in mind. The only thing I can think is that this page is very short. It's much shorter than their homepage with much less content and much fewer links. So one theory might be that if they formatted their homepage like this, it might either not give them the kind of brand reputation or brand look that they're after, or it could be less likely to rank for the non-branded terms that the homepage is ranking for. So it could be that this is the optimal conversion page that they would ideally want to send cold traffic to, but they've had to make some compromises on their homepage, which mean that they would rather not send people through there. But certainly this page obeys conversion rate optimization principles by the book. There is minimal white space, there's minimal need to scroll. It's a nicely designed page, multiple user path. We've got credibility being demonstrated very clearly and throughout. We've got nice features being listed as well. It's a good page, even if it looks really simple. But if you've got any theories about why they're driving traffic to this page rather than their homepage from PPC, let us know in the comments below. Hey, loving the SEO stuff? Me too. We actually wrote a book called How to Get to the Top of Google, which shows you how to get to the top of Google. You can go and buy it on Amazon, or you can buy it on Audible if you prefer the audio version, or you can actually get a free copy if you just click the link in the description, fill in your name and email, and we'll send you over a copy. So that's How to Get to the Top of Google. It tells you exactly how to do it, uses all the processes that we use for our agency clients. So go and grab your copy today. Okay, our final growth lesson from Airbnb's digital marketing is about ad split testing. And in particular, we're going to be looking at the ads they're running on social, Facebook, and Instagram. So we can see Airbnb's strategy really clearly. They pick a theme for their ad creative, and then they test slight variations of that creative. For example, here we can see a few videos which are all about hosting. So these ads are clearly running to hosts. And we can see they have basically the same format every time. It's words, there's a little animation. Here's another one asking a different question. Exactly the same format. Here we have another one just with different dimensions. So none of these ads actually solve the questions being asked. All of them just have the call to action, learn more, and they encourage people to get in touch with a superhost. But that's really not what we're looking at here. These ads are so simple and they are so easy to put together. By making them animation-based, they can test loads of variations of these really quickly. You don't have to go out and do photo shoots for them, you don't have to create custom videos. We do see some other types of ads which look like they're using property, but these are really simple to put together as well. They're basically just images that could be animated. It's really, really quick and easy and cheap to put these sorts of things together. And that allows them to test very rapidly lots of variations of their creative, which is really smart. We can also see that they very clearly create different types of ads for different demographics. So here we have an ad from back in November 2021 when they were running a promotion about hosting Afghan refugees at your home. They didn't run this ad for very long, just 11 days, and they spent $4,000 to $4,500, but they got a good number of impressions for that. But to me, the most interesting part of this is look at the imagery. These are older folk, and it's a particular type of home. Now, if we look at the people that were shown these ads, there is a very clear age and gender skew here. We are looking at older women. You can see the age range of the women, the column in green goes up, and this is very heavily skewed towards women. We can also see the regions that these ads were shown. So obviously Airbnb have identified or calculated or estimated that they're most likely to get traction bringing people on as hosts to host refugees if they're targeting women and particularly older women. If we look at the regions that these ads were shown as well, we see California, Washington, Maryland, and Virginia seeing the highest percentage. All of these states are in the top 10 of the highest median income in the US. So what we're looking at here is an ad campaign specifically designed for older women who are more well off. It's a very clear message. to a very targeted group of people. Just another example of Airbnb's smart digital marketing. So I hope you've enjoyed our look at Airbnb's digital marketing and the things that have made them so successful. Let us know in the comments, what's your top takeaway from this? Which of the 8 lessons was your favorite? Don't forget you can request your free website and digital marketing review from the team. You can also check out the blog post version of this video as well, link in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. We normally release 2 to 3 videos per week. Until next time, see you soon.